Welcome to the Cyber Business Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and share their inspiring stories. Now, let's get started with the show.
Matthew Connor here, host of the Cyber Business Podcast. Today, we're joined by Nastaran Bisheban, the CIO of VetStrategy. Nastaran, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Before we get too far in, a quick word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by cyberlinks.com. That's cyberlynx.com. Do you know if a hacker's in your system? Most people and most companies don't until it's too late and the hacker's already done damage. A hacker's job is to bypass your security, so companies need a way of knowing when someone's gotten past their security. That's where Cyberlink's intrusion detection comes in. With our 24/7 security operations center, we use a combination of AI and cybersecurity technicians to see when a hacker successfully bypassed your security. So if a bad guy gets past your security, we'll know right away and be able to kick him out. Find out more at cyberlinks.com. That's cyberlynx.com. And now back to our show. Nastaran, for those who aren't familiar, can you tell us about VetStrategy and your role there as CIO?
VetStrategy is a consolidator of clinics and hospitals that take care of our furry friends. We have about shy of 400 clinics and hospitals that our job in support office is to make the life of those that are taking care of animals easier. So we support them so our doctors, our veterinarian, and our RVTs and the rest of the clinic members can at the best take care of our patients.
Nice. So then on the, I'm assuming that on the, you provide all the kind of IT infrastructure and support for all the vet clinics. Is that?
That's correct. So my amazing team takes care of technology operation, service desk, and helping the clinic with those challenges that they have, plus the infrastructure of the technology, network, modem, router, those kind of things, IT into the traditional perspective, plus security, plus creation of some softwares that are needed. We have a buy and build policy. Whatever that makes sense, we build. Whatever that doesn't, we buy. And then we do have a data integrity and insight team that provides clean and clear data and reliable data for our BI tools and BI systems, creating those Power Dashboards, Power BI dashboards. And we do have a team of digital that takes care of our web. We don't have an app at the moment, but the different clinics' website and everything. So 360 of technology.
Wow. So now are these, the vet clinics, are these are they all independent and then they come together with VetStrategy and you provide kind of the back office and all the support, or are these VetStrategy clinics that are just kind of, all 400?
These are VetStrategy clinics.
Got it. Wow. Okay. So 400, I would imagine
shy of 400. Yeah.
In that ballpark. So that is, I'm sure they're not all in one city. So how do you find it, challenging? I mean, you're now probably it's all over Canada, right? All 400?
Yes, it is all over Canada. And we are blessed with having coast to coast in almost every provinces. And I don't believe we have in territories. I need to check that. But we do have coast to coast clinics with a large number in Quebec and Ontario.
Nice. So how do you find it? How do you manage that with the 400, so dispersed in terms of, putting out, the infrastructure and supporting it? Is it something where you send a technician out there when you need to? And do you have them
Well, we do
distributed
have
across the country?
partners. Definitely, all of those colleagues of mine that are taking care of something national or global are aware that the partnership is the best approach to go through that. There are companies that their bread and butter is boots on the ground to help you, and we are working with them.
Nice.
Uh, um, depends to where we have a coverage by our partners as well.
Oh, that's great. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, fantastic. So, in terms of kind of developing your own stuff, did you guys you said you kind of build your own apps as well? If it's not available to buy, you guys build it in-house?
That's true. Yes.
Fantastic.
Well, everything is available to buy. Sometimes it's a matter of how fast we want and how customized we want it. So, yeah.
Nice. And now I hear you said you're using Power BI for your Intel. Are you guys using any other Microsoft products for building out apps or anything? I'm kind of curious.
We do
If
have
staying
a mixture of different platforms. Yes.
Okay, very cool. Now, we were talking a little earlier, about before the show about things that were of interest to you, and for you, you brought up something that was really, really fascinating, and really resonates with me, and I think it's so important in IT, and that's the human aspect. Can you share with everybody your take on this?
Well, I have been with the industry for about 30 years. And the constant that I found repeats in every industry every year and with every solution is the human ecosystem around it. It doesn't matter if you are building an e-commerce tool, if you are building a practice management system, if you are building a point of sales, if you are building a phone, if you are building an e-reader. These are all a personal experience that I was privileged to have working on different industries and seeing the constant is actually the human ecosystem around it. How we interact, how we articulate our needs, how we articulate our priorities, how we articulate the way that we prefer to work with each other. Those are the success factor for a majority of the outcomes. And that's a still fascinating thing for me to focus and make sure that that portion is being done right so the rest can fall in place.
So how do you do that, right? Let's put that into practical terms for people, because I think it's one thing to say that the human element is the most important element, and I truly believe that, because what is a company without it? Every organization is just the makeup of the people and what they do and how they do it. So how do you put your focus on the human element into practice? What's that mean for you?
It means knowing and truly knowing the people around, being my team members, being my peers, being my boss, being the partners that we are working with, and respecting their what they are great at, what they are good at, and what they don't want to be working on it. So, and taking care of and focusing on matching the interaction with what is the higher, basically, capability and like of the people. Um, I can't claim it has always been successful. There are so many different factors that play here, but it has proved when it is done right on the human side, the rest has been a lot more successful. And this is coming from deep core principle of believing in working over operation excellence. It's so easy to think that I am short of resources. I don't have enough budget. I need this. I need that. And those are not wrong. If you have those, you can do better. But have you done the true effort to see with what you have, you are doing the best outcome. And that's the trick. And that's the area that we often forget to go back and not get numb with what we have. Think about truly, I have two resources. Are they working on the best thing that they are capable of and they like and they enjoy? Not always you can find this. It's work. It's a very complex network of work that many things needs to sit in place, and not always all of them are sitting in place. But with what is controllable, which I refuse to think the scope of controllable is small, it's always larger than what we think. Are we doing the best that we can do? And this is a circle of magic. When you get to that habit and you have your team members to think about that, you will start seeing the area that was in the blind spot and you didn't know. Oh, without a resource, I can actually switching these two people, the outcome can be very different. With listening a little bit and hearing what makes this specific person excited, and having the area of their work around that excitement, the fuel is there. We just need to repurpose and use it. So, operation excellence based on human behavior.
I love that. It reminds me of a few things. I can't help but think about Steve Jobs is kind of famously known for his reality distortion field, right? Where he says something that people don't really believe, and it's not real now, but if they work hard enough, they can kind of make the impossible possible. And I think the way you're talking about it is perhaps a more enlightened a version of Steve Jobs's brute force reality distortion field, where I think yours is a little bit more sophisticated in arranging the people in the way that they will maximize that versus his make the impossible happen. Make it smaller, make it better. I don't care. Make it so, right. And then they're like, now the stress, and you could just imagine the pressure and stress. So they kind of they're the lump of coal that gets turned into diamond from the Steve Jobs pressure, right? Whereas what you're proposing here in your focus is I think far more eloquent and appropriate for a workforce that is not going to burn out in over the course of a few years. Would you
It's
agree with that?
interesting what you said. Yes, actually, studying cognitive science and studying human, there are two F words that human will follow and excites people. One is fun, one is fear. You just explained the difference between these two. You can motivate people based on fear. You get the outcome, no doubt. It might be even faster that you get the outcome because it's a survival and you want to address the fear faster than possible. But that outcome is not as sustainable and as holistically in place when you actually ignite the fun side. And that's where I will focus to ignite the people's energy with the fun factor, not fear factor. Well, mind that there are always a mixture of it. You cannot always sit and ignite people based on fun. There is a reason we have still our lizard brain at the back of our head staying there because it's needed. So I'm not saying it should be all fun. Well, it can be all fun, but that's not the reality of life. But it cannot be dominant by fear.
Can you give us
So
an
that's the
example?
difference.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's fantastic. Can you give us an example of how you put this into play, like how you kind of ignite the fun, how you move people into position, get them excited about it, or make it fun for them versus I think a lot of times in tech especially most technicians kind of like what they're doing. We all kind of geek out on the geeky, on the technology. We like that. It gets us going. But I think you're talking about kind of that next level. You don't just put a geek into a tech position in general and they're going to be happy. You're far more nuanced in getting, in what you're saying here. And so can you give us an example of how this has played out in the past for you and how you've, kind of success stories with this?
Yeah. Um, Anyone that is building a software knows how stressful is the day of release. When you are releasing and customers are waiting for it, your CEO is waiting for it, your board is waiting. It's a lot of pressure, and putting all of that pressure to every complex thing to sit in the one place for the release to go up. Um, of course, I'm not talking about the continuous release that we have. We broke that as a software engineers. We broke that stress to a lot of smaller thing. But when you are bringing a new device in, it's one day that you are bringing that device in. When you are releasing the next version of your software, that's the thing. So on those nights, first of all, the most important thing as a leader for me was to be with my team. So it is not just asking them to out of fear or fun to do something, to be with them as they are doing it. I might not have been even able to help them technically, which I was, but feeding them coffee when they are in stress, just being around with them, taking care of them. That was basically the case. But the fun part of it was we had a pack that whenever we were in this is a past life, whenever we had a release to go up, I had the product managers who were the most nervous one and not on a very technical side of the work, staying on top of the people that were trying to make sure that the data has been fed properly, it is not clogged somewhere, all the details are in place for software to go live, and they were just on their head. So my ask of them was for the 1 hour prior to go live, product managers do push-ups. You continue giving the push-ups. And all of a sudden, there was a game going. People were playing and making fun of each other. Who can do this and that? Really, the anxiety was completely down. And people actually, instead of dreading the release night, they were starting to bet and looking for release nights because they knew they're going to beat each other over their things. Some of them joined the gym to actually be better fit for going to those release nights. These are examples. Another thing is I would have made it fun based on, for instance, a very complex detail Lego set would have been the prize of a team that made the first page coming up 2 seconds faster. And those are all the metrics that as a software developers and software builder, you will think about. Your first page to render fast and come up. And those would have been their, price. We would have had multiple, developers working on it. And then the winner would have been getting the full day to just sit in the middle of the team and play with his logo or her logo and Lego. And that Lego building, everyone was working, and this person was sitting there in the middle of the room playing with their Lego and putting that and having the boast basically privilege for the week to keep that Lego on their desk while we would have worked on the next one. So finding the areas that we needed to make it better and playing with this stuff to ignite the fun for the team. And all of a sudden, you have an ecosystem that they are all running with you
Yeah.
and having fun and trying to make things better.
I love that. It's like it reminds me of, I think it was Dale Carnegie. He was talking about in one of his books, he was talking about this factory worker, and I think it was actually Charles Schwab somehow was in this factory, and they had these two shifts, and what the night shift was doing, like worse than the day shift, and he was trying to think, he was talking to the factory manager, how do we motivate them, how do we get the shift up, and he writes down on the floor with chalk the number, it's a number like a production number that the day shift did, right? And doesn't say anything. The night shift comes in and they're like, what's that number? And they realize, oh shit, that's what the day shift did. And so then they start going and then they beat that number. So they wipe it off and they drop the number. The day shift comes in. They're like, oh shit. Okay. And so this game starts and now productivity's gone through the roof. Nobody said anything. There was no like, hey, you need to work harder or you're all fired. Or if the night shift doesn't start doing better, they're going to be whatever, or, or anything. There wasn't even so much as a bribe, just a number. But it started that kind of fun, competitive, spirit.
Exactly.
And I think those are really kind of genius things, even like the Lego idea or the push-ups. I think it's tough to think of those things, or do you find it easy to think of those things in the moment of like, hey, this would be fun for the team? Do you get into that fun headspace and it just kind of comes out, or do you have to think about it for a while, like what would work here?
Um, of course, it is a work. Of course, it's not coming immediately. It's studying people and seeing, for instance, if I would have brought in, I don't know, something, think about the stereotype of the geeks and people, they wouldn't resonate with that. It's knowing people, what makes them having fun. I had a group of very talented architects that loved baking. And for them, it wasn't the Lego, it was who made the best cupcake, for instance, for the team. And we would have had a fun, basically, title giving and everything else. And my CEO was looking at me saying, if someone looks at your team from outside, they think this is all you guys are doing. But then I will look and see the outcome that is coming out of this team and the number of the requests we are getting. People want to come to this team is, from finance, from marketing. They wanted to come and join the tech team. That's all. And it's not all on the leader themselves. It's the fact of learning how to get that creative juice from multiple people. I cannot claim that all of this came as a first thing of my seeding for the team. A lot of it came from, hey guys, what do you think? Very simple at the water cooler conversation that you will have with your team members.
So, that let me ask you, is this you have everybody right there on site, or are you have a lot of remote workers now?
In VetStrategy, we have a mix. So we are 2 days in the office, which I truly cherish. I am a human person guy, a girl, and that's the part that I really get energy from. But we do also have people that are in the colleagues that are in the West and East Coast. Yeah.
So how do you translate this or use this in a more remote environment? Is there, have you found a good way to kind of bridge that and make it kind of fun, even remote, and get that human connection? What I think, if anybody, has kind of done it, it's probably you, because you really focus on that. And I think a lot of people kind of, just focus on the technology side. So I'm kind of curious, How have you gone about this?
It's not an easy thing, I should admit, because you do need to read the body language. You do need to look into people's eyes. Even when we are camera on, we are all looking at a different place in our monitor versus looking at our, exact camera and talk. So it's not easy, and I cannot claim that I have actually been remotely able to start that in my current position. Because when you start, I am in this position for about 8 to 9 months. The first area that you will look is where to start. Where are the most area that you need to add value and reduce the pain? And the journey so far has been a lot more on that. But we are starting. We are getting into, now that the team is in place, now that we have a right roadmap and we have started working on so many areas of the pain and immediately address them. Now what? What is the next round? And that will be it. But from the past life, when it comes to something like this, we would have worked on photography context. And people that were remote could have been as much participating as people that are in the office. We would have worked on the wow factor story of the week, and people would have get half a day off on the Fridays afternoon to just think and work on something interesting. Um, it could have been curating all the latest technology update. Someone in the afternoon would have sat and do this. So I would have give my team the entire Friday afternoon off, per se.
Mm.
The only caveat with it was they need to come back in a biweekly basis and reflect what they have used for those off time. And through that, we had many people uh, learning a new programming language, learning from each other how to make the best cupcake. Because I do believe when collectively you are a better human, you actually do a better job. It doesn't matter if we have increased the cupcake building skills in you. It will come back to your writing code skills. It will come back to your taking care of operation service desk better, because you have fed to the area that excites you, and as a result you have more dopamine and better serotonin to help you with the rest of the activities that you are doing. So it might look like fluff, but those fluff, when they are actually on top of each other, they become a very, very strong base. And that's where we focus on. So for the remote people, that would have been the area that we would have engaged them. There was no difference between people that are here and they are there, and a budget permit, having them to come and spend some time with the team that are in a base.
Well, I mean, it makes me think that, really this comes down to good hires, right? If you hire people who genuinely love whatever field they're in, right? And that's exciting to them. Then you give them the opportunity to say, hey, Friday afternoon, this is your time to explore a passion project, right? Something that's really fun for you. Doesn't matter what it is. And I like when, organizations even do something where they're like, you can take time to go do some charitable thing, some personal passion project, right? Where you focus on it. And even in your reviews, your quarterly reviews, you go, what is the project that you're going to work on outside of work, right? That's going to be something that excites you, right? Something that, and it could be work related, it could be something else. But I think that goes back to that human element. And when you're I think far too often a business tends to think of a person as a resource instead of a human. And if you just do that, that cog in the machine wears out and it wears down, and it's not going to be as good as if you treat them like a human and you find the things, you let them, I suppose you cultivate in them the things that are exciting to them. So they then, when they wake up in the morning, they're excited about their work, they're excited about their passion project. And when they go to work for, 8 hours ish a day, because that's a large portion of their awake time and their life, now they're happy and excited about that thing that they're doing. But if you get the wrong hires and you put they may be very excited about, I don't know, HR, but now they're in IT or sales, and they're not going to be happy there, right? And so even if those are extreme examples. Obviously, you wouldn't want to put somebody in HR into tech, and vice versa. But I think, to your point earlier, those small moves of moving somebody from, oh, you know what, if I move them from here to there, now they get to do the thing that they love. Now this resonates with Jane much more than it did with Bob. And if I just move them, and now they're doing the thing that they, now they're excited. I think this is such a brilliant kind of approach that far too many people really miss, because they get bogged down in the day-to-day work, right? And they're like, we got to
It's
get it
the
done.
zoom out of the leader. You need to be able to zoom in and zoom out. And that's one of the most important thing for a leader, to learn when to zoom out, look at it from a 10,000 feet. And when is the right time to actually zoom in and go to the root with the
Yeah.
team? Stay with them, troubleshoot with them, at the risk of they telling you, you are too rusty. You have been software engineer 20 years ago. I said, I still beat you. So that's the area that you need to learn where to zoom in and zoom out.
I love it. I also like to ask people, what advice would they give somebody coming into the field, whether it's IT or security? What advice would you give them?
Um, Many of the people join a profession not out of 100% love or excitement. It happens for so many different reasons. Um, my advice, if I am in a position to give advice, which I don't feel like I am, because every people is different, I can share based on my personal experience, is um, really focus on things that you can change, um, and change them for better. Um, See from the lens of how you can pave the road for people that you are work with to be the best version of themselves, and focus on those. Uh, it will come when your brain working memory is empty from anxiety, empty from fear. Um, you have enough capacity to think about how to do this better. Um, and the discipline. Many people think that when you mix fun, discipline is gone out of the door. That's the worst thing that you can think about. Fun and discipline can be best friend. Actually, discipline of having fun is the best approach to know and learn when you are actually, this is fun, but this is not a ha-ha fun. This is a adrenaline inducing fun that will reward you, not a goof around fun. These are the difference that needs to be addressed. And God knows how many times I had to actually bring people and say, this is the fun. You're not goofing around. You're having fun. So um, that's I think the white hair
Yeah,
that helps with it.
I
Oh,
love that. I think
I
that,
have a good hairdresser. You don't
yeah.
see them, but
I think that that distinction in fun and fun being the friend of discipline, I think that's brilliant, and I think that's missed. I think that's really missed in a lot of people, especially older. The older generations. I think from me and older, we grew up in a I don't know, let's say tougher, more disciplined, kind of era, and I think getting to see the benefits of fun and how because it's funny because my wife is very much, we're very different people. I am love and light and fun, and like that's what drives me. And takes a very different approach that doesn't really work for her as much as the kind of the hardcore focus and and more of a, like, she can worry about something I can't worry about things. Like if I worry about it, everything falls apart. If she's not worrying about it, things fall apart. It's so funny. So
Mhm.
it's really interesting because for me that fun and discipline really resonates. Like I don't enjoy, like, for instance, we're training for a marathon. It's like her 50th, my first. But for me, I'm not motivated to get out and run because it's on the schedule. I don't care what's on the schedule. Yes, I know I've got to do it. But if I don't find a way to love what I'm doing, I don't do it well. Like it's just
Mhm.
that simple. If I love it, I'm gonna be great at it. So I'm enjoying the hell out of running now. Whereas before, it was not my favorite thing to do. And whereas for her, it's much more like, no, that's what has to be done. So I'm doing that. And that drives her. And it's so funny how different we're incredibly similar in, I'd say, 90% of things. But that one thing we're very different in. And so for me, your fun being, a friend of discipline is, really resonates with, and I'm curious because with her, like if we're working on something, if I'm like whistling and having a good time, she's like, get to work, right? Whereas she, so she's a much more serious, like, discipline. So
But don't forget, that's her fun.
that's,
Fun has
mm,
different definitions. Uh, that's her fun. Someone with a organized desk has a lot more fun comparing to someone that same person. If you say, don't worry about it, it's just the stuff at your desk, take it easy, those are the worst thing you can say to that person. The fun for that person is spend 5 minutes, tidy up your desk so you can actually have fun and enjoy what you have. So I think that's the difference. She's having fun, but get back to work. This is the serious space I want. That's her fun.
yeah, brilliant. I love that. That's so spot on. That is exactly right. That That's perfect. Okay. This has been an absolute pleasure and a blast. But before we go, Nastran, can you tell everybody where they can find out more about you and Bet Strategy?
Well, I am on LinkedIn. VetStrategy has a website, and we do have an amazing group of people that at any time can help people to know the different areas that we focus on. So our clinics can actually take care of our patients to the best possible.
Fantastic. Well, until next time.
Have a very good one.
Thanks for listening to the Cyber Business Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.